Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now as EDCers, I think we'll all agree that there is a similarity in some respects between preppers and EDCers. A prepper tends to prepare for that global shit hits the fan moment. Whether that's a zombie apocalypse, whether that's World War III, whether that's, I don't know, nuclear fallout, whatever it is. As EDCers, we tend to prepare for daily challenges. We carry a knife so that we can open a box. We carry a flashlight so that we can see in the dark. Just those small pico kind of challenges rather than larger global ones. And one of the most important things that I've certainly found, especially since becoming a dad, and I say this like it wasn't last week, 15 years ago, is just preparing for those little bumps, scrapes, medical issues. So what I've always had is a small medical kit that I kind of clubbed together from a few different ones from a few different places. And I've always been a bit worried that it's not been the right one, and I know I'm rambling a bit too much here, but talking to the good people over at Rhino Rescue, they have sent me a couple. They've actually sent me two. This is the first one that we're going to have a look at. We'll have a look at them on another day. And this is the medium medical kit. Now before we go into this, I think there's a couple of things that I just need to add. First one being that many of you that are watching this might look at this and go, well, it's not a medical kit if it doesn't include this, and this. This is what I would call a builder. So the vast majority of the things in here will work for everybody. Just like a person's EDC, it can be very individual to you. If you're a paramedic, you'll be like, no, you have to make sure it's important that this is what you carry. And I respect the fact that everybody has lots of different ideas on what they should carry within a medical kit. We're just going to go through this today and what is in here as that kind of foundation. If you want to take a few things out, you think they're superfluous and not needed, you can take those out, you can put another couple of different things in. The version that I've had here, I have added a few different things to this. I've took them out today just so that you can see exactly what you get with this. The second one is, medical training is also important. Now I work within the medical industry, but it's medical science. I work with the doctors that are working out how things work. I've done my first aid at work certificate, can't count how many times, a lot of times, and you may hear me today using the term common sense. Now for me, common sense and a pack like this should go hand in hand. If something's bleeding, try and stop the bleeding. If something's broken, don't move it. It's that kind of common sense. I'm certainly not trying to diminish any of the skills and experiences that people within the medical industry have, and I'm not saying that all you need is a bit of common sense and you can, I don't know, do a triple bypass operation on somebody. I'm just saying with something like this, if I use the term common sense today, mainly it's just talking about bumps and scrapes. I feel like that was a bit long, so let's get into exactly what you get. Let's turn the camera around and have a look at this medium medical kit. So here we have the small, sorry I say small, this is the medium sized ultralight first aid kit. Okay, so opening this up, it does come with this Ziploc bag. Now I guess you could just discard the Ziploc bag, however I've kept the Ziploc bag mainly because this is actually waterproof, the material that this is made from, and it does have a waterproof zip on here. But let's face it, it's very small with this Ziploc bag. It doesn't add any extra weight or any extra kind of, it's not going to take up much room in your bag. So for me, being able to protect the stuff that's in here from dirt, because if you have to do anything with an open wound, keeping dirt away from that is key. So yeah, I keep it in here. It does a great job. And when you get this, there's a couple of things. So this is attached to the zip. This is their kind of their hiking kit, hiking first aid kit. Here's a list exactly of the things that we're going to have a look at. And then you also get a small first aid manual. Now, when I talk about first aid or this manual is concerned, it just gives you simple, quick tips. One of the most important things with first aid is not panicking. And what you can do is you can have a quick read through this and you can assess, hopefully very quickly, if it's something that you can help with or if it's something that's beyond your skill. If it's beyond your skill, just try to not do anything that's going to hurt the patient even more and wait for an ambulance to turn up. But hopefully a lot of things like common sense should help. If they're cold, try and warm them up. If they're too hot, try to give them some water, that sort of stuff. But in here, so at the front, just get a little bit of contents, what to do with first aid. You got some minor injuries like burns, stings, scrapes and cuts, that sort of stuff. Then it goes on to some more kind of trauma situations where you've got bleeding, wounds. Now, bleeding, large bleeds rather than just scrapes and cuts. Severe body abrasion, what was that? Severe body, what did it say? Oh yeah, there you go. Broken bones, sprains, and then at the end it gets on to weather-related ones, which kind of just spoke about there, but things like cold exposure, frostbite. Don't worry, there's nothing in here that's going to tell you exactly how you can amputate a frostbite gangrenous toe. Heat exhaustion, sunburn, but again, so just some information so that you can quickly have a look at something and go, right, okay, I can deal with this. It plays into a little bit more kind of common sense. It's a small bleed, let's just get this covered so that we can get to whatever to get that fixed. But yes, really useful. Then you get the actual pack itself. Now I am going to keep this bag just handy here, mainly because I've just been talking about not getting dirt into things, and I'm probably gonna have to take things out. So when I take things out, I'll put them into that. So here is here's the pouch itself. So it's made with a really lightweight ripstop material, and then you have a waterproof zip. It's just a single zip to get into it, but you also have these little kind of fastening points here. So if you have a bag and you know you've got a lot in there, you're going to rummage around and get everything out for 10 minutes to try and find it. What you can do is you can just clip these onto something, add a little carabiner onto there, attach it to something in your bag if it's not in a specific pocket. That way it's always where you know it's going to be. Opening this up, it splays open neatly. In fact, let's hold it like this. It's kind of a clamshell opening. It comes down to here in the corners. However, they have these little gussets on the side so that when it opens at roughly a 90-degree angle, or kind of 45 after 45, so that you can see into it. It's not one of those super fast trauma kits that you'll rip open and lie down on the floor. It's just not that kind of kit. Sorry, there's a plane flying over. Apologies if you can hear that. So opening this up like that, it just sits open perfectly so that you can see into it. Now here at the front there is a tourniquet here. This is a what I consider to be a small bleed tourniquet. It's not like somebody's been shot in the leg. It will slow down blood, and it will stop blood. It will stop blood flow, but it's not. I forget what they're called. Is it the CATSUMs, whatever those are? But yeah, it will do a good job if you need to use one. I will say, if you do need to apply a tourniquet, just have a look on YouTube. There is some information about how to apply them. You need to make sure that you're recording when you put it on, and for paramedics when they turn up. It's not too difficult, again, but out of all of the things in here, there's a lot of people talking about, well, you know, whether you should apply these or whether you shouldn't apply these. But if you need to slow down some blood so that you can apply some of the dressing in here, then you know it's not a permanent solution. I think that's what I'm trying to get to. Mrs. Moorlander is a phlebotomist, so she uses one similar to this when she's doing her vampire work. Now, when this opens up, and I keep turning this round, there is a compartment here to the left-hand side. There's a compartment here to the right side. You can see they have these little pockets, and then there's this one that sits here in the centre. So here in the centre, you have a few different types of swabs on the end of sticks, just in case you need to maybe clean something from out of a wound. So you have those. You also have some pins, some safety pins. There are a few different types. We've got an elastic bandage here. There's a few different types of dressings. So if you need to pin those down, then you can do with the safety pins that are on here. Also, if there's clothing that you need to make sure that stays out of a wound, then you can hold some of that clothing back with the pins as well. And then you also have some medical tape here, which is useful for doing splints, if you need to, for fingers, that sort of thing, or again for bandages and for dressings, you can use this tape again just to make sure that you hold it in place. You're not doing it too tight so that it stops circulation. You're just using this sort of thing so that you can, it just holds that, or holds it in place. Now, if I just take this out here to the right hand side, just put that down on there. So the bits on this side are your dressings. Something's happened and you need to make sure that something is cleaned and something is covered. With an addition that there's a small whistle here, which, you know, it does an adequate job. If you're out in the mountains and someone's fallen, one of the most common injuries out in the wilderness is sprained ankles. Mountain rescue gets called out for more sprained ankles here in the UK than they do pretty much for any other thing, unless yeah, I think that's right actually. I think it is sprained ankles. So if they're close to you, blowing a whistle, you know, you can signal where you are. You do get some small scissors with these. Now they're not trauma shears, they're not designed to be cutting off jackets, that sort of thing. But for anything in here and you're struggling to get into it, then you can use these scissors to get in. You know, they're okay. If you wanted to cut through maybe a t-shirt, you kind of can, but really I suppose what you'd kind of do is just start a cut and then you'd rip it after that. But for a small pair of scissors, they're just useful to be able to get into any of these different things. So on the front here, so we have some sting relief, we have some wipes. Actually, I can put that there on top of there, can't I? There are also some compound wound dressings, and there are some larger ones. Oh, damn it, where am I going? I said compound then, I meant compress. So you have some small ones, you have some larger ones, all these really nice. Then you also have some plasters or band-aids, as I believe they call them in certain places. So in here there are there are quite a few different ones, whether you need to put them onto arms, fingers, whatever, and then you have the different kind of bits where you can get them into joints as well, around fingers and knuckles. Super useful. This is probably the one that I will use the most, because your little bumps and scrapes, it's these little plasters that you generally tend to go to. Then you also have some larger, what do they call this? So it's not the actual plaster stuff, but you can put this around kind of circular areas. So there's another one of those, which is also really nice. I think if you're out walking and you've started to get sores because you've got some boots that haven't been worn in, that sort of stuff, and you're worried about them, they're definitely useful for that kind of thing. Now let's get this back down this right hand side. So they're really mainly to do more with your dressings and any particular wounds. Now on the opposite side here, you just have some extra little bits. So emergency information, you can write down some information about you on here, just in case you are walking out yourself and you get into a predicament, somebody's in your bag, maybe you don't have your wallet with you, it's just extra information about you, which is useful. And I like these. I think these are really good. So these are just small Ziploc bags. I'm going to turn these over. So in here, what you can do is you can open these up and put in some of your own meds. So if there's something that you need to take on a daily basis, you can just tear this open, keep them in here, zip it up, and it will make sure that they stay nice and dry. Last couple of things, you have some gloves, super useful, especially if you're concerned with contamination, all of that sort of stuff. It's just a single pair of gloves. For the size of gloves nowadays, I mean, you could always buy a couple of extra pairs and leave them in here. And then last but not least, you have a thermal blanket. I know one of the last bits on the first aid book that was in there was about keeping people warm, especially if you're concerned about hypothermia, that sort of stuff. One of the other things is it's often easy to notice if somebody's going into shock. You don't need to worry too much. Well, I suppose you kind of do, but one of the ways to help or to support somebody that's going into shock is to keep them nice and warm and stabilised. And having one of these, even if you just wrap it round them, get them to put a jacket on, or even just wrap this round them, it will help to increase their core temperature, and it will certainly help as well. So there you have it. Now, putting these back in, let's see if I can put these back in down the opposite side. Close it up, zip it up, and it will just go straight. Sorry, I'm just realised I'm doing this off camera. It will go back into your bag. Now, I didn't mention the size of this, but hopefully you can see. I haven't got the exact measurement, so I will put them down here. But it is perfect. We looked at a small pack-away jacket the other day, and it's no bigger than that. It's probably about 15 centimetres by about 7 or 8 centimetres across, and probably by about 5 or 6 centimetres deep. Just right. I put it back into here so that I know it's extra safe, and yeah, I'm prepared just in case a small minor medical injury happens. So there you go, the Rhino Rescue ultralight medium first aid kit. I think as far as a base level first aid kit that is easy to just throw in a bag, take it wherever you need to go if you've got bumps and scrapes, and you know, there are a few other larger issues that you can deal with a pack like this. I think it's a great starter. Now, I did say at the beginning of this, because I know there's probably people really kind of wanting to get into the comments, are there some items that you just take out? And if there are some items that you take out, what would you also add to this? Because, and again, I know it's first aid kits, especially for people that are medically trained, or first responders, that sort of stuff. They're very personal what you feel should or shouldn't be in here. So I think it would be useful if we all stay respectful and get down into the comments, and let's hear what you'd maybe take out, what you'd add. I think it might be useful for Rhino Rescue if they choose to read those comments in the future. Certainly for me, just to get more of an understanding, again, because of how personal and different experiences that people have had. I think this is great. I've had this in my pack now for the last 3 or 4 months. Luckily, I've not had to use it, but if I do need it, it's always there for me. I was just looking at my bag because it's just there. You can't see it's off camera. Anyway. So yes, now I want to say a huge thank you to Rhino Rescue for sending this to me. There is a second larger IFAC that we will be having a look at a later date. Hopefully that should probably just be after Christmas. Might see if I can get that filmed during Christmas or kind of before Christmas. Yes, but this is the small and medium version. They did send this to me free of charge. However, I'm under no obligation to review this kind of super positively. Hopefully everything that you've seen today, it's a description of what's inside and you know how useful this sort of stuff is. So yes, a huge thank you again to Rhino Rescue. I'll leave their links below so that you can see more from them. I'll leave some of my social media links so you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC, and also my sister channel, Moorlander Tactical. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. There you go, done it again. That was a good 30 seconds of talking to the camera, and I hadn't hit record. Do it all the time. Randy, you're a knobhead. And I've got an itchy ear. Tits the fan moment. Whether it's a zombie apocalypse, whether it's nuclear fallout, whether it's World War III. I feel as EDCers, what we pretend, start that bit again. Some of you that have worked in, or the difficulty with caveats is trying to make sure that I don't piss anyone off, because I know that people get very uppity about what should go into these, and I mean that in the nicest respect, obviously, because people want to make sure that people are safe. Rhino Rescue ultralight medium sized first aid kit. There's everything that you will need in here to keep a person well. No.